It's time to live, laugh, love, and learn. It's just life. Just life. Just life. With Just Val.
Well, hello, I'm back. I'm Just Val, and today we're going to be talking about anger management. And I have with me today Reverend Richard Taylor. He is the director and CEO of Atlanta Anger Management. And what we're going to be talking about is anger management issues today. Things that, how to deal with stress, how to, not just possibly get yourself in a lot of trouble. And, and that's just keeping it real. Right now, I would like to introduce to you Reverend Richard Taylor. Hello, Mr. Taylor. How are you?
Hey. Hi, Val.
It's so funny. We talked yesterday on the telephone and had this really brief but very informative conversation that I actually applied to myself. First, I would like to ask you, what is anger management?
Well, most people don't understand what it is. There's a misconception that it's counseling. It's not counseling.
Okay.
Anger is a learned behavior. If we come from an angry environment, our families, we mirror it, we copy it.
Right.
It tends to get more frequent.
Right.
And more intense.
Okay.
It's a natural emotion. Everybody gets angry.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I hear people's stories and they say, that's justified anger.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be getting angry.
Okay.
And people feel validated when they hear that.
Right.
So, everybody gets angry.
Yeah.
It's a natural human emotion.
Okay.
So let me just say one thing about
right.
what it is.
All right.
So it's education and training, and we can either use a workbook where we're talking about principles that people learn,
Okay.
or if it's very acute, like 85%, 90% of the people that come to me have relationship issues or crisis. Okay, so anger is right in the center that the relationships aren't working.
Yes, I can agree.
Yeah, and so all of a sudden we're teaching people about their behaviors, about relationship cycles, about how to do a fair timeout.
Okay.
How to be respectful when you are angry, rather than aggressive.
Okay. Well, you know what? I definitely think that is something we want to talk about today on today's show, because most people who are adults are in relationships. And if they're not in a relationship, they're still angry because they're not in a relationship. So it's sort of like a catch-22. I don't know. Okay. I have another question for you. What generally causes people to be angry? I know we just talked about relationships, but
You have two broad categories.
Okay.
When people's needs aren't being met, they get angry.
Yeah.
And boundary violations.
Yeah.
Okay. So then there's six subsets.
Okay.
So if I'm being controlled, okay, so that's a need, right? My freedom.
Right.
Not feeling important, not
Right.
feeling love, connection.
Correct.
Okay, when somebody withdraws, you feel slighted.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the guys out there, we don't want to deal with it, so we withdraw.
Yeah.
And it doesn't help the relationship.
No, it definitely doesn't. Now, now you can speak from, that's how guys think. Now, from a woman's perspective, sometimes we withdraw too,
Yes,
when
it
we're
works
angry.
both ways.
But we're more verbal at trying to get the man to understand where we're coming from. Like if he's, I think sometimes we women, we think that you guys can't hear.
They can't.
Okay.
Or we can't. I'm included. So that's one of the key things that we teach immediately as guys. What do women want?
Okay.
And we talk about that in anger management class. And I let the people speak, and one woman who was delightful in her 50s said, I want to be cherished.
Oh, what woman does
And I went, yes, that's so wonderful.
Okay.
And another one says, I want safety. And,
every woman wants to be safe.
I want to feel secure, and I want to know that everything's going to be all right.
Right.
And I say, okay, the older women in their 40s and 50s say, I want a man who listens to me.
Oh, so it's an age thing.
And the 20-year-olds haven't figured that out yet.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so we
think.
teach the guys that we need to learn how to be present for our women and not judge them and not interrupt and not give advice. And when the guys do it, within the week of coming to the class, the relationship's better.
Really?
It is amazing, the transformation, because the women for the first time say, my man is present for me. And you know what? We don't have to comment. A lot of women just want to, process what happened today.
Right.
And they just want somebody there to be able to understand with compassion.
Right.
And with no judgment.
You're absolutely right. Now, so what I'm hearing is, I don't know, maybe it's the woman in me, but I'm thinking that the men, you just need to have a class for just men.
Well, we get, I sometimes get women that seem to have, I call it the yin and the yang,
Okay.
that we have a female, male aspect in all of us.
Right.
And it kind of rotates. I kind of create a circle and spin it back and forth.
Okay.
When we're more dominant, when we're in our groove, okay, we may be more male. When we're more compassionate, we're more caring, we're more loving, we're more female. And all of us have that within us. When we have more empathy, we have the more feminine aspect.
Right.
And so when you comment about the male and that, yes, we do generalizations, but I found several women seem to be more male than the men. As far as
you said it, I didn't. Because if I would have said that, I would have been in trouble. Okay, so I'm glad that you're a man and you said that. You're absolutely right.
I had a woman client who wanted to get a divorce because her husband cried too much. Okay, and he was Australian, and it was just amazing.
I mean, like a lot.
He cried a lot.
Or maybe
he was
once
very,
a week or every
I don't
day.
know. She just said a lot. I was like, I'd never heard such a thing before. Because most guys don't cry since like 4th grade.
Okay. What if they whine a lot?
Okay.
Is that a form of anger?
No whining allowed.
Okay.
And we teach that to our kids.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Oh, I tell you what, you have a lot to say. I mean, really, to be honest with you, the reason why I chose this subject is because, I think when we're going through life and the different problems that we come across in life, we're frustrated because we feel stuck. And I think that anger blocks us from being able to sort it all out.
Absolutely true. So you hit on a couple key points.
Uh-huh.
Anger is a secondary emotion.
Okay.
And when I heard that and when I got trained in it, I thought they were full of beans.
Right.
I said, I get angry at one point, and so how can it be a secondary emotion? But you named the word, when the frustration starts,
Right.
when I feel unaccepted, when I have to repeat myself 2 or 3 times, when I'm not being heard,
Right.
okay, or that trust is broken.
Right.
Anger surfaces. So my definition of anger is pretty simple. If I have adrenaline in my body, I'm angry. If I don't have adrenaline in my body, I'm not. So, I've been told, Richard, how come you're so angry? And I do a body check and I go, do I feel adrenaline? No. And so all of a sudden I say, well, I'm not angry. And they say, well, you sure seem angry. And I go, aha, it's my tone.
Right.
Tone is like 38% of communication.
Absolutely.
And so all of a sudden, I in my classes I say, has anybody ever been told I don't like your tone? And nearly everybody who's honest raises their hands.
Absolutely.
And so women even have tone. So I like to use it sometimes with my partner Debbie saying, I don't like your tone. And we both laugh because she'll say that to me because males have deep voices and we tend to sometimes get passionate and we're misinterpreted as angry, but we're not.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I think the body language has a part to do with that too, because when the tone matches the body language.
And 55% of communication is body language.
Okay.
So if you're looking you went from a smiling face to a stern,
Right.
it's interpreted as anger.
Right.
And
Exactly.
also we have in this texting generation, everybody's texting. So are you listening to me when you're texting? No.
Absolutely.
And so the partner, the individual's feeling slighted, not being paid attention to.
Right.
Everybody's on their cell phone, but they're on a date, but they're talking to somebody else.
Absolutely.
So why wouldn't people feel angry?
Yeah, I guess you're right about that. Well,
It's all over the place.
I know. Well, what we want to talk about, these are just some of the general things that we're talking about, like situations that might put you in an angry state. state of mind and the whys. But really, to be honest with you, I think, like, I'll just speak from my experience.
Very
Sometimes we get angry at ourselves for things that I call it the woulda, coulda, shoulda did, you know.
That's perfect.
Yeah. And I think that's something that we can't yell at someone else about. You know, like if, one of the kids do something, you can vent. I told you to clean your room up, or your husband don't come home at night or something like that. And you want to just go ramble, but you can't. Or because the consequences of you going to jail. So you kind of suppress it. But the anger that you have within yourself, you can't just come out and yell at yourself. I mean, most of us don't. We talk to ourselves, but we really do it more internally. So how do we get it out when we're dealing with ourselves?
Okay, a couple things rambled through my mind, and I tried to active listen and not have an agenda.
All right.
But there's one thing I'd say. We have 70,000 thoughts a day, and research shows that about 80% of those are negative thoughts. So one of the first assignments for the listeners out there is to catch yourself during this next week, and when you're beating yourself up, I'm so stupid, I can't believe I did that. When I catch myself doing it, which I am human, I do too, I say, is that helpful?
Right.
I go, no.
Okay.
So you know what, we mess up, we're humans. And the key is that we ask forgiveness for the people that we offend.
Right.
Okay, and then also we say, hey, don't be so hard on yourself.
Right.
You know what? I'm going to learn from this, and next time I'm going to do it better.
Absolutely. I talked about that last week on the show when we talked about the woulda, coulda, shouldas of like forgiving yourself, and that's a hard thing to do.
So there's a whole psychotherapy discipline based on that concept, and it's pretty complex. And when I read the book, it was pretty much made me fall asleep. So one of the things that I do is that when you catch yourself, just ask, what should I do for the best outcome? Okay, so that's a great question. What should I do for the best outcome?
Right.
And I say 90% of the time, remain calm.
Right.
Okay, so as you were talking about it, what happens is the brain gets hijacked in the anger mode, in the aggression mode, and there's less blood in the brain because it's going to feed the body group for the fight response. Okay, and the fight response goes back to the beginning of time of there's a lion and there's a tiger and a bear.
Right.
But we don't have that today in most people's world, and so we have to kind of catch that and say, what really should I be doing? So the answer is that if we can remain calm when we're in an argument, we're going to be more rational and we're going to be able to problem solve in a better way.
Okay, well, that sounds great.
So that comes into a timeout.
Yes.
Okay, you know what? We're getting kind of like really heated here. Let's take a quick break. Okay, most people don't take a proper timeout. I call it proper timeout. So we teach that in the class, which is this. It's the secret. Okay. You have to, when one person withdraws, first of all, you say a timeout, and immediately there's no more talking. And then we joke. Generalization. Women always have to have the last word.
You're right about
okay,
that.
so we kind of laugh at that.
Okay.
And I say, if your woman's like that, then just expect the chair across the back. And one last comment, and then you go your separate ways. Don't think about the argument. Okay, so that's why people think about the argument. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, this, I'm going to win. But no, it's not about winning. It's about getting calm. So you know what? What I do is I actually have a whole methodology for it, but the short form is basically don't think about the argument. And what we're trying to do is let the emotions, the adrenaline, all the things that make us agitated drain so that we're calmer. Okay, and the key to the proper timeout is that we put a time limit. So in other words, the guys just don't go and then we never see them again. And then the woman's left holding the bag with all those emotions.
Right.
You know, say 30 minutes, that's a good general aspect. Come back and then say, the first question, are we going to remember this argument in a year? And that puts it in perspective that, you know what, this is a silly thing.
Right.
I mean, we're really, you know what, what we tell the guys, yes, honey, let's do it your way. 3-1.
That works for
you
me.
know,
I don't
3-1.
know
Not
about anybody else, but it
50-50.
works
The
for
guy's
me.
got to give in a little bit more because we know what? We have our our precious flowers to honor.
And on our show today, we have Reverend Richard Taylor, who is the Director and CEO of Atlanta Anger Management here in the Atlanta market. And what we want to do today is to help give some information on how to cope with stress and, handle our anger a little bit better. But before we go into the interview, I want to tell you about my sponsor. This portion of the show is brought to you by Keep It Moving and Storage. If you're looking for a professional and affordable moving company, this is the company for you. They have agreed to give you a discount if you just call them at 404-938-5244. You can just tell them that you heard about them on the Live, Laugh, Love show, or if that's too long for you to remember, just say Just Val sent me. And the number again is 404-938-5244. They will give you a discount. So even if you're not moving, you know someone that's moving, maybe sending someone to college or, a friend, give them the number. It's 404-938-5244. Now, back to a very important subject matter, which is anger management. And we have Reverend Richard Taylor with us right now. Before the commercial break, we were talking about what is anger management. We also talked about things that make us angry. Is it okay to be angry? And he informed us that anger is a natural emotion. And what we're going to ask Reverend Taylor right now is, what causes people to be angry?
So the underlying feelings that we all feel is what produces the feeling of anger.
Right.
So back to that broad categories: unmet needs and boundary violations. If I'm not being treated fairly, it's justice and truth, I'm going to feel angry. Okay, the trust issues.
Right.
If I'm not respected in what I say, okay, I'm going to feel angry.
Right.
So as we go through life, we're going to be lots of situations that come up between people and events that cause frustration and these underlying feelings, and our natural reaction is that we just get angry.
Yeah.
And part of anger management is to the first assignment for all the listeners out there is to become self-aware. And as we become aware of how we interact with people, we start to see, we don't really do it so good. We don't do it so well. And so I catch myself, and that brings us to the 3 C's.
Okay.
All right, so here's some freebies for you out there. The 3 C's are, I'm going to catch it, I'm going to check it, and I'm going to change it.
Okay.
So I catch myself in getting angry, and I go, whoa, wait a minute here. That's not the best way to do it. I need to change my reaction. Let me, instead of making an assumption that I'm being disrespected, let me check it out and change my reaction.
Okay, well, good. Now, another question that is asked, can anger harm you?
Well, I'm a testament to that. I've had 2 heart attacks, bypass surgery, and another heart attack. And at Piedmont Hospital, they gave me this book, Anger Kills. And this is when I wasn't in anger management. And I looked at the book and kind of skimmed it and put it on the bookshelf and said, what did they give me that for? And then the next heart attack, they gave me a second one. So I added it to my library right next to the other one.
Okay.
And I didn't realize that anger, all right, my definition back to the first segment was if I have adrenaline, I'm angry.
Right.
Well, that adrenaline is very harmful. There's a lot more hormones than just adrenaline.
Okay.
But that's the fuel that gives us the energy for the fight, flight, freeze response.
Okay.
Okay, and so it's very harmful. It's a straight path to coronary heart disease. And what that means is your veins, the arteries, are starting to get restriction, it etches the walls of the arteries, and then the cholesterol plaque that all of us Americans are eating every day, the typical foods we eat, it's a straight path.
Really?
And stress, okay, so you mentioned stress several times. We teach stress management, that's also a leading cause of 70% of office visits. So as we're stressed out, Atlanta was nominated the 15th most stressful city in America by one poll. And on the radio, I listen to AM radio a lot.
Right.
I love AM.
I know.
And I heard that we were voted 4th someplace.
Really?
So Atlanta is a very stress-producing city.
Okay.
So we need to learn to get rid of our stress. So that goes back to one of the questions that you asked was, when I internalize it and beat myself up with the shoulda, coulda, woulda, what do we do?
Right.
Well, you need a regular stress management program which says I should exercise 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week, as a minimum for good health.
Right.
And research from the Harvard Medical School, Alice Domar had said that even if you did 10 minutes, 10 minutes, and 10 minutes, it's better than nothing.
Right.
So you know what? Let's say you're homebound, and you could, go out and get the mail.
Right.
Okay. I could walk around the block. I can park farther away at the parking lot. Then I don't have to worry about anybody stealing my place. Okay. We see that in the TV shows. And I've seen some of the people come to me because they keyed a car because they got so angry someone stole their place. So you park farther away and just add a few steps.
Okay.
Take steps instead of elevators.
Well, you know what? I think that will help. Now, this is a question that someone may call in and ask, but I want to ask: how do you deal with a angry person? Because you cannot control them if they're very hot-tempered.
The worst thing you can do is say, "Calm down."
Oh, really?
That pisses them off. Sorry, the expression.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah.
And
This
so,
is a gospel station. You can't say that.
and so what happens is they get angrier because you can't control me.
Oh, it's really about
Okay,
control.
so that's the message that they're getting. You're trying to control me.
Oh.
So you could try. It doesn't always work. You seem upset.
Right.
You make sure your tone of voice isn't condescending. You seem upset. Maybe more statements like that, and then you're going to show empathy.
Okay.
Oh, why? Why are you so angry?
Even if they're wrong?
Well,
because sometimes
we're taking the higher road here.
Wrong. And in order to deflect their guilt, they'll come in and they're hot-headed or angry about situations when they're dead wrong. So how do you do that? You can't have empathy for someone when they're wrong. I mean, you can, but it takes a lot.
Well, let me just say this. There's, I think I just read it on National Geographic, there's nearly 7 billion people on the planet. And in my classes, I say there's 7 billion right people.
That's true.
And so I also say, and it's kind of pointed towards the guys, but, you want to be right, you're going to be single.
Okay.
Okay, so dead right, well, sometimes, but you know what? I'm always right. I try in my own life, I practice anger management. I try and admit once a year I'm wrong.
Once a year?
Just to do it. No, I'm just kidding you.
Okay.
So you get the point where it's like, you know what? I've had some couples where one of the partners would never, ever apologize.
Right.
That is wrong. I mean, we honor our partner, I see it as a spiritual union, and you know what? Admitting you're wrong is just about, like what you said, Just Val.
Right.
It's about being humble. I made a mistake. Will you forgive me?
Right.
I was a jerk.
I mean, we're only human, but I think when we try to better ourselves, no one is perfect. Most of our bad habits are learned behavior. Unlearn.
That's what anger management's all about.
Exactly.
Education and unlearn. We're
Right.
going to unlearn our behaviors.
Right.
And take a better approach.
Life is, I look at things from a spiritual perspective. That's keeping me emotionally sound. So I'm going to keep it honest.
You're just human.
Correct.
Somebody called me on the phone. I said, let's talk and make sure we're talking about the right thing. Anger is when I can remember what I say And rage is when I get into a, quote, rant,
Right.
and I don't remember what I say, and people say I said something, I said, no, I didn't.
Oh.
And it tends to come from that stuffing, what we
Right.
call the pressure cooker.
Mm-hmm.
So we have everyday
Boom.
everyday Atlanta stuffing. It's driving, it's lines, it's unmet needs, etc. And then it has to come out. So I mean,
Right.
part of that stress management is that we try and get that out. One thing that is really healing is laughter.
Right.
And so
We're gonna
you
talk
talked about that.
A little earlier on the show, we covered some topics. What is anger management? The best ways to handle it. I mean, people withdraw and they're late intentionally, or they sabotage you.
Absolutely.
You know, it's a form of anger.
Yeah, so it's a passive form of anger. I don't have enough strength to face you face to face, so I'm going to do it covertly, is what we call it. So
We call it the coward way.
Well, it's passive, okay?
Okay.
And so, yes, you get the silent treatment where you become roommates for a time, and
Right.
you go, what is this about?
Right.
You don't even know why they're angry. So it's that withdrawal. So they say in your relationship, these are 4 things that will be the death of your relationship. So
Yeah.
pay attention.
Okay.
It's criticism.
Okay.
I don't feel so good about myself, so I criticize you so I feel better.
Right.
Okay, then you can either be defensive or criticize me back. And then pretty soon we just criticize each other back and forth and back and forth.
Yeah.
And then if we hear this, here we go again.
Right.
And you roll your eyes or you go, whatever. Then there's withdrawal and stonewalling. We put up walls.
Right.
We keep doing that pattern in a relationship. Pretty soon, the opposite of love in my book is not hate, but it's apathy and I don't care anymore.
Right.
And when love is gone from your heart,
Absolutely.
it's very hard to get back.
You're absolutely right about that.
So we want to address these issues beforehand.
We didn't do the show based on relationships, but that tends to be, you know, a big problem.
A big part of it,
with,
yeah.
the anger between each other. Because let's just say, for instance,
We have some road ragers, a few golfers. If you're any golfers out there, and got some anger, you can come see me. We help you.
okay,
It's only a couple
I can't
visits.
see what or why someone would get.
Well, you know, if you want to be a Tiger
golf
Woods, you
course.
got to keep your emotions under control.
Okay.
All right.
I think most of it is anger because of finances, anger
can be.
because of relationship. The road rage, I think maybe that might be, it's something, I don't think it's the main cause of that anger. Like, I think they're probably rageful based on one of those other 2 things that I talked about, money and relationships.
Right. I heard one. I keep learning from the people that attend my classes, and this is a really good thing to learn and live by. When I go to work, I leave my personal problems at home.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and when I leave work, I leave my work problems at home.
Right.
And
right.
what happens is most people, they get angry at work, so you're kind of responding to your last comments.
Mm-hmm.
And who do I treat the worst? The person I love the most.
Absolutely.
You know, and
Mm-hmm.
so we just dump on the person that's our best, better half.
Right.
And it's not fair.
Or family.
So what we say is this: proper anger management is not that you should never get angry.
Mm-hmm.
It's that I should be angry with the right person,
Okay.
the right place, proportional to the activating event, okay, and it should be respectful.
Right.
Wow. So that kind of works off an Aristotle quote. So you can Google Aristotle anger quote, and it'll come right up.
Okay.
So those are people that like to surf the web. But anyway, so you talked about proportional anger. So one of the things is that when we're in high emotion,
Okay.
I am right. You said that in one of the segments.
Right.
Well, you know what? We think we're right, and that's the problem. Is everybody thinks they're right.
Mm-hmm.
So I say, gee, maybe if we can step back a second and not be so emotional and not have our brain hijacked by emotion.
Right.
Yeah, take that proper time out and then come back in a more respectful manner. So this is aggressive anger that we talked about during the break, which was aggressive is, you make me angry.
You give blessings and get blessings. For your best gift in helping us help others, we'd like to give you the full audio of this program on audio CD. And when your gift is more than $30 or more, we'd like to add a copy of Just Val's 101 Reasons to Smile on CD. Just visit our website, justvalshow.com. That's www.justvalshow.com, or call 855-JUST-VAL. That's 855-JUST-VAL.